Good afternoon. We'll call the Committee on Small Business, the Small Business Markup to order. Today we're undertaking our responsibility to provide views and estimates on the Small Business Administration's budget for fiscal year 2015. Due to the President's failure to nominate an administrator in a timely fashion so that the individual could be confirmed by the Senate, the committee hasn't had the opportunity at this point to hear from a sufficiently superior SBA official on the rationale behind the budget request. The views and estimates before us today represents a balanced approach of eliminating unnecessary funds from the SBA's budget while keeping core programs at the agency intact. And the views and estimates letter calls for a reduction in spending and reallocating a small portion of those savings to other areas that are going to improve agency oversight and promote greater opportunities in the federal procurement marketplace for small businesses. During the past 2 years, Congress enacted a number of changes to the government contracting programs that's overseen by the SBA. These changes required the SBA to take a dozen separate actions to implement the changes mandated by Congress. And to date, not a single one of those changes has been made, and some are more than a year behind schedule. In fact, the SBA's budget justification document makes almost no mention of these changes or any effort by the agency to implement them. While the SBA is ignoring mandates from Congress, it is the gall to request $39 million to continue entrepreneur outreach initiatives of its own creation. And to make matters worse, these initiatives duplicate already existing agency programs, and none of these SBA-created programs have proven track records of assistance to small business owners. By necessity, the budgets require hard choices. To the extent that the SBA fiscal year 2015 budget request makes hard choices, they ultimately make them in the wrong place. The views and estimates letter is the corrective to those misguided choices, and if implemented, the views expressed in the letter to the committee on the budget will improve on defaulted SBA guaranteed loans. It's going to improve the speed the pace of improvements to the SBA's loan management accounting systems, increase the number of SBA personnel devoted to assisting small businesses, obtain federal contracts and subcontracts, and strengthen the Inspector General's effort to uncover waste, fraud, and abuse at the agency. It will also reduce the SBA's overall budget by more than $50 million without harming the agency's capacity to serve the generator of the most jobs in this country, and that is America's small businesses. Now I recognize Ranking Member Velasquez for her opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The SBA continues to be an important agency for spurring economic activity. Through its access to capital, procurement, and entrepreneurial development programs, the agency assists hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs each year. The SBA's annual budget submission gives this committee the opportunity to assess the agency's priorities and whether it is carrying out its statutory mission appropriately. The SBA's near-term blueprint for accomplishing its mandate is its FY 2015 budget request of $710 million. This funding will enable the agency to continue to provide loans, contracts, and training to small businesses across the country. In this capacity, the SBA truly plays a vital role, strengthening our economy and providing job creation. While SBA's FY 2015 aggregate budget level is reasonable, I have concerns with its allocation. Similar to prior years' budgets, the SBA continues to support initiatives that lack a specific statutory authorization. This includes spending $39 million across several programs, including entrepreneurship education, boots to business, growth accelerators, regional innovation clusters, and the Business USA website. Other similar activities are undertaken in the agency's financing programs. Simply put, this practice is wasteful and should not be allowed to continue. And on this point, we enthusiastically concur with the chairman. These pilot initiatives often lack appropriate safeguards and guidelines, as well as agency oversight. And the absence of performance benchmarks makes it nearly impossible to understand what these initiatives are accomplishing. By creating new initiatives, the SBA is squandering its limited resources. Instead, it should be relying on time-tested programs for a fraction of the cost. While we agree with the majority on this important point, there are a couple of areas that we disagree. proposing to transfer the Veterans Business Outreach Center program to the Department of Veterans Affairs is unnecessary. SBA has experience in funding various assistance centers serving different demographics, and the Veterans Business Outreach Center program can benefit from this knowledge. And just last month, this committee passed legislation transferring a portion of the VA's small business program to the SBA. Moving the V-Bucks from the SBA to the VA will undermine this work and create confusion. On this, I believe that we should speak with one voice and continue to stress that the SBA, while not perfect, is the best agency to serve small businesses. In addition, while the majority talks about its concerns that the SBA is too concentrated in Washington, D.C., it fails to provide concrete steps for distributing personnel. It simply proposes to reduce both field staff and headquarters staff alike, which do not necessarily lead to a more diffuse SBA. Instead, the agency's personnel structure should be evaluated and steps taken to ensure that all areas of the country have access to the SBA resources they need. As we all know, disagreement on priorities in the agency's annual budget is not unusual. However, this year I believe that Chairman Graves and I have a lot of common on our view of the SBA's budget submission. Put simply, continually spending taxpayers' money on priorities not approved by Congress is never good, is never a good use of scarce resources. As we move onward, I look forward to working to refocus the SBA on its core statutory mission of serving small businesses in a manner that is both efficient and prudent. Thank you, and I yield back.
Does any other member wish to be recognized for a statement on the views and estimates? Seeing none, the committee now moves to consideration of views and estimates. Clerk, please read the title of the document.
Views and estimates of the Committee on Small Business on
Ask
matters
unanimous
to be
consent
set.
that the views and estimates be considered as read and open for amendment in its entirety. And does any member seek recognition for the purpose of offering an amendment? Seeing no amendments, the question is on adopting the views and estimates. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The opinion of the chair is the ayes have it, and the views and estimates is adopted. And I now recognize Ranking Member Velasquez for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to give notice pursuant to House Rule 11, Clause 2.1, that the committee Democrats will be filing additional views with the Committee on the Budget regarding SBA's FY 2015 budget. Thank you.
Without objection, that's so ordered. And with that, I'd ask unanimous consent that the committee be authorized to correct punctuation and to make other necessary grammatical and technical corrections on the document considered today. And with that objection, that is also so ordered, and this committee is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.